societies and meetings about the depopulation of the planet being of utmost urgency. He's never changed his tune his whole life. He's as adamant now as he was when he was 18.
And that's official State Department policy under State Department Memorandum 200 by Henry Kissinger, and the classified CIA version of that. The extermination of the world population is the goal. World government is only the means to the end. We'll be right back.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Have you ever wanted to generate your own supply of electrical power? If so, this is going to be the most important message you will ever hear. Solar-powered generators are now available from Solutions from Science, one of GCN's oldest and most trusted sponsors. These emergency backup systems provide life-saving electrical power when you need it most. Unlike gas generators, a solar generator runs quietly, emits no fumes, and produces electricity for free. It's like having an electric power plant running quietly in your own home. Run sump pumps, shortwave radios, computers, and even keep food from spoiling. Whether it's hurricanes, ice storms, brownouts, or blackouts, you'll never have to suffer through painful power outages again. When the power goes out, you'll be ready with a solar-powered generator from Solutions from Science. Go to mysolarbackup.com and get off the grid today. That's mysolarbackup.com today. Or call 877-327-0365. 877-327-0365. Don't wait. Call today.
A day unlike any other in the long course of American history, a terrorist act of war against this country.
The enemy struck America on September 11th. But who is the enemy?
Bin Laden.
This is his MO.
We have to look to the Middle East. We have to look to Osama bin Laden.
Fabled Enemies is the first 9/11 film to take a close look at the terrorist ties to intelligence networks inside the United States.
Some U.S. investigators believe that there are Israelis again very much engaged in spying in and on the U.S.
I'm aware that some Israeli citizens have been detained.
Bin Laden's connections to the CIA, the hijackers' ties to the FBI, the Saudi Arabian connection, the Israeli intelligence network, warnings and war games, the shadow government, and much, much more. Fabled Enemies. Get the DVD at Infowars.com or see it in super high quality, along with hundreds of other titles at PrisonPlanet.tv.
Either you are with us or you are with the terrorists.
SouthSummit.com is the place for top-name brand knives such as Kershaw, Spyderco, Cold Steel, Gerber, K-Bar, Boker, Leatherman, and more. South Summit has one of the largest selections of self-defense products on the web. Knives, stun guns, police batons, pepper spray, LED flashlights, emergency kits, binoculars, and tactical gear are just some of the great products found on SouthSummit.com. Receive discounted prices on camping and preparedness products from Camelback, Kelty, and Eureka. Check out our water storage barrels, water purification systems, and Mountain House freeze-dried foods that have a 30-year shelf life. Keep an eye on your family and keep them safe with our do-it-yourself spy camera systems. Mention that you heard this ad on the radio and you'll receive a free LED flashlight with your order. Visit SouthSummit.com. That's South Summit, S-U-M-M-I-T, SouthSummit.com. Or call toll-free 1-800-234-8654. That's 1-800-234-8654.
Call my name out your window when I'm leaving. I won't even turn my head.
All right, we're back live, folks. Thank you for joining us. Let's go right back to Alan Watt. Alan, I want to go to some phone calls. They'll be all over the map, but that's fine. You can speak to all major issues. The toll-free number to join us is 1-800-259-9231, 1-800-259-9231, and we will get you up and on the air. In fact, just give me a new fresh list, John, because I know folks have been holding a while. Continuing with how they're going to phase this in, I want listeners and viewers out there, we are simulcasting right now at PrisonPlanet.tv, to understand something. We're not joking about any of this. Remember, I've been on air more than 13 years now, just going off government documents and their own statements. Just 2 years ago, I would have globalists on this show like Mr. Rothschild, and he would say, well, there's no plan for a global tax, and laugh. when I had the congressional hearings with his own group pushing for it. They said they weren't building a world government. We had all their own documents. Judicial Watch would sue and get the SPP documents, and they'd say, we got to keep it secret from the public. It's a new world order. We're going to take their liberties through phony environmentalism and the threat of phony terrorism. It's declassified. The U.S., the British, and others have staged hundreds of terror attacks on record. So, of course, we look at 9/11 and then go through the evidence that it was an inside job. It's time to stop being childlike. And I know this stuff's so scary that a lot of people want to rationalize or make excuses and say it isn't real because it's just too painful for them to imagine. But when the official Army training manual for all Army captains in special operations teaches them how to stage terror attacks and false flags, I mean, we have to live in the real world here. We have to face the evidence. And they are engaging in eugenics. They are pushing one-child policies now in the West, saying that they're going to tax your carbon footprint having more than one child. This is unfolding. Alan, there is a mass awakening happening. So I see a lot of positive things happening, and I know the globalists aren't invincible. No matter how sophisticated their propaganda is, being aware of it is the battle. $40+ billion the Pentagon's going to use in the U.S. and worldwide to fix their image. And then you watch HBO and its PR pieces for the military. There's military pamphlets everywhere. It's all over the news. Isn't that a sign of being in a police state? I mean, we are so propagandized with the fake news and the fake reporters and all of the news packaging that Congress admits is going on, and it's only intensifying. Can't that propaganda backfire on the establishment? Or because they're just immersing the population from every angle with it, will it be effective?
It's been effective so far. As I say, when you go into... there's a good video out there by a guy who does a lot of work for the BBC, Adam Curtis. It's called The Power of Nightmares. And he goes in to the psychology behind setting up a world of terrorism and how politicians needed this because they were losing all respect from the general public. They were so corrupt that they needed this new authority, and the authority is, we're here to protect you, and they created a myth of terrorism worldwide. Of course, this myth was to be expanded to include anyone who was politically incorrect on many topics, various topics. That's what's happening today. It's a tool. It's a tool, and terror is being used on the general public by the politicians and the governments. They're chasing shadows, looking for terrorism everywhere, and Adam Curtis did an excellent job of exposing this using documents that they had stored in the BBC archives to show you the whole thing was a farce from the beginning to end. But it's unnecessary. See, this comes back down to the neoconservatives who dreamed up the policy, taken from Leo Strauss, who taught Wolfowitz and others the fact that they need a myth for every age to get their agenda through. And they created the myth of terrorism everywhere. It's an exaggeration of the old Reds under the bed scare. It's much worse than that. And now they're expanding terrorism to include anyone who speaks out, in fact. So this is the technique that they must use now until they finish this whole agenda. And they even have environmental terrorism now. If you don't put your garbage in the right boxes, etc., etc., it all comes under terrorism. So this is the noble lie that they're using to bring this whole agenda forward. They must create a state of fear, and when the public get into a state of panic and stampede, as long as they are heading off the cattle at the head of the herd, they can guide us into this new world order. That's their whole theory. That's what it's based upon. And the public have got to stop being afraid, and they've got to stop obeying ridiculous laws that are thrown at them, because we know where it's to go. It's to go into an Orwellian world where you'll need to believe and double speak all the time to survive. They've got cameras up where any little expression that they deem might be anger or you're being upset means they have to get into you and intervene right away by drugging you or whatever is necessary. This is the world they're bringing in. Total control. It's a hellish control where you have no freedom to do anything whatsoever except that which is authorized by the top.
That was the next issue I was going to bring up, the whole control grid. They admit that in England and the United States, the two major beta test centers, Australia as well, the Anglo-American system, New Zealand, Canada, it's admitted that first they trained you how to go through a checkpoint and be searched, put your stuff through a metal detector. Then they begin asking you questions. Then you take your shoes off, an act of submission. Then you can't bring liquids in or toothpaste, another act of submission.
You got to hold your pants up.
Exactly. Show your body. Women have to drink the milk they've pumped for their baby. Next, they are putting in at 200 airports in the U.S. these body scanners that scan your 360 biometric signature so their cameras can now track and trace you. Another act of submission, they admit it's the naked image of your body scanned onto their hard drives. They now admit they're doing that, and then now they're talking about putting metal detectors in shopping malls. In the schools, it's already happening. Thumb scanning to buy and sell, cash being